Hello, I'm Esther Githu-Yuot. It's Friday, July 1st. This is Africa 54.
Tanzania's ethnic Maasai people are angry over what they call unlawful evictions from their ancestral home by the government. Human rights groups are condemning the action. More than a decade after its independence, the economy of South Sudan reflects two distinct realities. We'll have a report from the South Sudanese capital. And in our Friday entertainment report, Heather Maxwell speaks with award-winning kora virtuoso Sonia Japate, the first female professional virtuoso on the kora, a West African string instrument. All this and much more on today's Africa 54.
Tanzanian authorities say violent clashes in June between police and ethnic Maasai villagers being evicted from their ancestral homes left one officer dead and scores of villagers wounded. Human rights groups are condemning the government's action as some Maasai families leave for new homes far away. Charles Kombe reports from Handeni, Tanzania.
This is a new home to a 63-year-old Saiboku Liza and his family in eastern Tanzania's Handeni township. It's about 600 kilometers south from his ancestral land in the Ngorongoro Conservation Area. In this new and very different environment, he is worried about the fate of their long-preserved tradition as herders who live in Maasai bomas.
In Ngorongoro, the laws were strict, and people were instructed what to do with their land. But for now, that tradition of living in bomas, living with many cattle, may diminish.
The government evicted Maasai villagers like Liza, but some have refused to leave and have been injured in violent confrontations with police. Government officials say the Maasai are being asked to voluntarily leave their homes located in various parts of the Ngorongoro Conservation Area. But activists say the Maasai villagers are being forced out to make way for trophy hunting and conservation zones. Government officials say the goal is to protect a conservation area from a growing Maasai population and number of cattle.
We have been advising citizens to sit together with the government and write down their recommendations, and they did so. The challenge comes on the government side. It was like they didn't want to receive and work on that information. What they did was continue with the strategies they already planned. It is them who led us to reach this stage.
Around 27 Maasai families have already shifted from Ngorongoro to Msomera village, where the government provides those evicted with a house and land for grazing their cattle.
The president's plan to move to Maasai from the conserved Ngorongoro area is for the benefit of all the country, all wild animals. They are for all of Tanzania. So all the revenues collected from tourism activities from the conservation area benefit all citizens.
Meanwhile, Liza is adjusting to a new life, a new home. But he's worried about those more than 300 families that remain in the conservation area, reluctant to leave the only home they have ever known. Charles Kombe for VOA News in Handeni, Tanga, Tanzania.
At least 20 Maasai pastoralists from northern Tanzania have been arraigned in Arusha, where they were charged with the murder of a police officer during a demonstration in early June. In neighboring Kenya, some Maasai lawmakers filed a case at the International Court of Justice, or rather are preparing to file the case at the ICJ, seeking to stop what they term as illegal and inhumane evictions of the Maasais in Ngorongoro Reserve in Tanzania. The Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights warns that the demarcation of the land could bring more violence. For more insight on the story, I'm joined by VOA Swahili reporter Kenneth Bwire. Kenneth, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you.
First of all, what's the genesis of this crisis?
For a long time, Esther, Tanzania government has been trying all efforts to do a conservation in Serengeti National Park. Serengeti National Park is Tanzania's biggest tourism earner every year. And this is now the time the President Samia Suluhu Hassan feels it is the right time to push out the Maasai from 15,000 kilometers square of land in the Serengeti, Ngorongoro area and Loliondo area, so that this farm can be given to a private investor from United Arab Emirates in the name of Otalo. Has been mentioned several times with the international media organizations and international farms. Otalo is supposed to be given the area for conservation so that to prevent the Maasai encroaching, that's the word they use, into the area that has already been designated for this private farm for elite hunting and tourism activities.
Well, commercial hunting, rather, in this case. But now rights groups are very concerned about this because Tanzania's action, the government's action, is going to put more than 70,000 indigenous Maasai from their ancestral land to go somewhere else. Do we even know whether there are any reparations? Where are they going?
Now, there are two areas in Serengeti, the Loliondo and the Ngorongoro. In Loliondo area, the information coming out is not very clear. It is one-sided. It's only the government saying that we are moving these people to Tanga area, which is about 600 kilometers away from their ancestral land. These are the people who have been living in huts all through. Their life is about nomadic pastoralism. They are not into elite kind of livelihood. They are not into modern kind of livelihood. So the Tanzania government says, yes, we have given you new homes. We need to move you voluntarily, though there is no a chance for you to decide to remain, though they say voluntarily. So the government is saying they are willing to move. Wow. We have sat with them and they have accepted to move. Though those ones who talk to the media freely, they say, no, we have been told we must move because of conservation.
Now, you and I know the pastoralists, they move with their cows. You're taking them to some cities. How are they going to move around with their cows? However, the neighboring Kenya lawmakers, some of them from the Maasai community from Kenya, are now taking steps to go to the ICJ, as well as, trying to fight for the Maasai in Tanzania. Is there any reaction so far about this?
Now, this is the Loliondo side, where the only demarcation is about just concrete made, which separates between Kenya and Tanzania. Now, the Maasai in Loliondo area, they're able to speak out. When the Tanzanian authorities went to demarcate the land, they resisted. After resisting, clashes broke out. That was on June 9th and 10th. When they broke up, several were injured, gunshots were fired, tear gas was used. So they had to run to the nearest place where they can get refuge. That's now into Kenya. Now, Maasai in Kenya say, we are Maasai, irrespective where you're born in Tanzania or you're born in Kenya or in another country. So they are moving in using their lead lawyer, Martin Kamwaro, to present a case at the International Criminal Justice. Now, there was a case at Arusha-based East African Court in Arusha, which was supposed to be decided by 22nd of this month. It has been postponed until further notice. So the Kamwaro and the group of the Maasai in Kenya, who are so vocal now, speaking out, what they're calling injustice and forced eviction, now want to move to ICJ to present a case of human rights violations. That, listen, these people cannot live a modern life. You are forcing them to live. These people only know how to take care of the cattle. The cattle cannot be in a modern kind of lifestyle.
Right, Ken. We follow up that story. I know you're on top of it, but thank you very much for your insight.
You're welcome.
Kenneth Bwire is a VOA Swahili service reporter. Now, hundreds of protesters marched the streets of Khartoum on Friday, just one day after 9 people were killed in anti-military demonstrations. The United States and others in the international community are condemning the violence in Sudan, which has been rocked by near-weekly protests since a coup last October upended its fragile transition to democracy. Thursday's rallies were the largest in months. Authorities have met the protests with a deadly crackdown, which has been repeatedly condemned by the United Nations and other international bodies. Thursday's deaths brought the tally of those killed since the coup to 113 people, including 18 children. 11 years after its independence, the economy of South Sudan reflects 2 different realities. While some in the oil, real estate, and luxury sectors like interior design are thriving, the majority, vendors selling anything from food to clothes, are wallowing in poverty. VOA's John Tanza, who is in Juba, spoke to a few.
Custom Market in Juba town is one of the oldest markets in South Sudan, and vendors from across Africa, including Uganda, Kenya, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, and South Sudan, come here to tout all kinds of products from their makeshift shops and escape the blazing sun. Here, you can find anything from food items, new and used clothes, phones, and car spare parts. Most of the local traders say, however, their profits are low because few South Sudanese can afford their prices.
The challenges that we are facing in our business, the price of everything have been increased in the market there, but we are still selling in the same price. Because if we increase our price, the customers will not buy the thing. One of the challenges are those of city council. They are coming to take from us other, especially like money for garbage. Other they said are for trading licenses, which even we don't have.
For many small-scale vendors, business was good before the 2013 and 2016 political crisis, which they say dented the economy.
Before we used to buy things cheaper, but now the prices have increased. From the wholesale, a shoe for 3,500 has now increased to 4,800 Sudanese pounds. We don't get clients who can afford these prices.
But not all South Sudanese are experiencing hardships. For some, like Lawrence Kurbandi, former legal advisor to President Salva Kiir, an investor in real estate and education, business is good.
Juba and other towns of South Sudan, you can invest in them, provide that you select your own choice as investor, be you local or national investor or international investors.
Kurbandi says investors and traders should look for new opportunities in the country. He says South Sudanese who have money are seeking for better services from investors.
There are three types of investment. Investing in education, because every household would like their children to go to best schools. That is why some of us are sending their kids in neighboring countries. The other investment is the health. People never stop being sick. So if you invest in good hospitals, you will still make money. And the third one is the food commodity.
South Sudanese businessman Chol Lam, a senior partner at the local South Sudanese oil company, Chang Wei CW, also says he's doing well in the current economy.
The economy of South Sudan focuses on the crude sales. But in terms of the services, there's a huge revenue stream within the oil services. And the budget for oil services, I would assume it's something close to $1.5 to $2 billion annually.
Another sector that appears to be thriving despite the tough economic climate is interior design, like APA Interiors, the only one-stop interior design shop for locals and expatriates in Juba. Apajok Aller, who studied interior architecture in Italy, has found her niche in Juba, where she has introduced interior architecture to more clients.
Our business, it's going well. We have a lot of clients, and we can't complain. There was a missing gap, and we were that link that we needed to be in.
Despite the tough economy, some South Sudanese are making ends meet any way they can, like this University of Juba student who operates a local motorbike taxi known as Border Border, which he says has enabled him to continue with his studies. This Nigerian national has been importing his country's fabrics into South Sudan for 21 years and says the country offers business opportunities for both local and international investors and traders. South Sudan's economy is projected to grow by 1.2%. Life in Juba City is very vibrant. Everybody is struggling for survival. People are working hard. Depending on who you speak to, most of the people even don't know what is happening in the country. They don't care about what the peace agreement is implemented or not. What matters to people in this town is survival, putting food for their families on the table. John Tanza, VOA News, Juba.
United Nations investigators probing alleged human rights violations by the Ethiopian government in its northern conflict say they have been given the green light to visit Addis Ababa, but are calling for wider access. About 340 people were killed in an attack in the western part of Ethiopia's Oromia region earlier this month, early into June, according to the Prime Minister's spokeswoman. Bilen Seyum says the death toll from those killed in Oromia region stands at 338. Seyum says ethnic Oromos, Amharas and Gumuz are among the victims, and she accused the Oromo Liberation Army of responsibility.
We are extremely alarmed by ongoing atrocities against civilians, including events reported in the Oromia region. Any spread of violence against civilians fueled either by hate speech or incitement to ethnic-based or gender-based violence are early warning indicators and a precursor for further atrocity crimes. The Ethiopian government has responded positively to our request to visit Addis Ababa. And we hope to continue in May, in our future visit, our May dialogue, with a view to agree on modalities for cooperation with the Commission.
That was Kari Betty Murungi, chair of the UN Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in Ethiopia. Record drought in the Horn of Africa affects rural women and girls the most. Many walk up to tens of kilometers to get clean water, putting their safety at risk. US-based charity group Water is Life Kenya is drilling wells for villages and schools to provide water closer to home. Juma Majanga reports from Olepolos, Kenya.
In Olepolos village on the slopes of Mount Kilimanjaro, women and girls sing to celebrate the gift of water. Water is a basic right guaranteed to citizens under the Kenyan Constitution. Access to clean water, however, remains a challenge for remote communities.
We used to walk several kilometers across the border to fetch water in Tanzania. Sometimes we would get harassed by the people there because of our being in a foreign country. We would be told to collect and carry donkey dung in our shukas. It was just pure harassment.
Poverty levels were very high because our livestock used to die from lack of water. There could be grass, but without water, livestock can't survive.
Frequent prolonged drought from climate change has exacerbated the water problem in arid and semi-arid areas. Women and girls have been affected the most by the situation. Water is Life Kenya, a US-based charity, is helping women and girls gain access to clean water by drilling wells and boreholes and harvesting rainwater, therefore reducing the distances they need to travel.
Spending their whole day fetching water, it prevented a lot of girls from going to school. You'll find most of the adult women in this community haven't been to school at all. And so we really wanted to, target a project that would help them be able to transform their lives.
Residents say the water project has made a big difference.
To be honest, our lives have really changed for the better. Now our kids are going to school.
Now it feels like paradise. There is no problem. You fetch water, do your laundry. The kids are clean for school. You have more time. We are in a much better place, and we are happy for that.
With 25 such water projects completed in different villages in Kajiado County and benefiting more than 100,000 residents, Water is Life Kenya co-founder Joyce Tanian says the work has been rewarding.
That essential barrier can be removed, water's there. Now people can develop. That's to me a dream, and that's the best thing in life, actually. To see that fruit happening, those fruits growing, people developing themselves, that's a miracle.
The saying, water is life, has never had a greater meaning for residents of Olepolos. As women and girls of the village sing in celebration, Many people in other remote arid areas of Kenya still need water. Juma Mjanga for VOA News, Ole Polos, Kenya.
The Chinese government has finished constructing Zimbabwe's new parliament building outside Harare at a cost of about $200 million. It replaces a colonial-era building but critics say there are concerns about security and China's growing influence. Columbus Mavunga reports from Mount Hamden, Zimbabwe.
China will soon hand over a new 6-story parliament building to the government of Zimbabwe's president, Emmerson Mnangagwa. Located about an hour's drive from the capital Harare, China provided a $200 million grant for the building, built by a Shanghai-based government-owned company. Reporters asked Kai Libo with Shanghai Construction Group about concerns that China may have bugged the new building. He reacted this way.
You know that Zimbabwe and China are all with friends. As you know that a friend will not do such kind of things to your friends. The government of Zimbabwe will authorize the security department for a special examination for this.
China has been accused of bugging the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, a claim that Beijing has denied. Authorities in Zimbabwe downplayed concerns about a foreign firm constructing the new parliament.
From my own experience and our observation from the way we started up to today, I'm not worried of anything. But that's why we said curiosity kills a cat. Let the media come and see for themselves, and maybe they may pick one or two things which they think is an anomaly.
Alexander Rusero, a politics professor at Africa University in Zimbabwe, says Beijing and Harare may have friendly ties, but eavesdropping in Zimbabwe's parliament building presents a serious threat.
Now to have that kind of institution, that kind of infrastructure wholly donated by the Chinese, I think it should also lead us to wonder in as much as where will this take us to in terms of our pride, in terms of our dignity, and in terms of our much affinity in the notions of sovereignty.
Zimbabwe's president has repeatedly praised China, saying its investments in the country have bolstered Harare's independence, and government officials say the country is ready to leave behind the old colonial-era building. Columbus Mavunga for VOA News, Mount Hamden, Zimbabwe.
Still to come, Music Time in Africa host Heather Maxwell catches up with Sona Jobate, the first female professional virtuoso on the kora.
Empowerment and humanity towards a better world.
Economic and social progress of every society.
Facts and information from key players rather than spectators in politics, business, science and technology.
City, rural, educated or underprivileged. We care and we listen to what matters to you.
Your voices are our voices.
In other news, a court in Uganda released veteran opposition figure Kizza Besigye on bail on Friday after spending 2 weeks in jail awaiting trial on charges of inciting violence. The U.S. top general for Africa warns of violent extremism and the threat of Russian mercenaries in the Sahel region as war games wrap up in Morocco. And the suspected driver of a truck packed with dozens of migrants who died in blazing heat during a Texas smuggling attempt was allegedly under the influence of methamphetamine, according to U.S. lawmaker. 53 migrants lost their lives in the tragedy. In our entertainment report, we'll hear from Sona Jobate, the first female professional virtuoso on the kora, a griot instrument from West Africa. Music Time in Africa host Heather Maxwell caught up with the artist who performed here in Washington.
Hi, Sona. What was that song you performed?
The name of the song that we played was Kanu, which means love.
And who's in the band with you on the tour?
I have my full band, which is great. I have Eric Ababule on the guitar, Wesley Joseph on drums, Andy McLean on bass, and Mamadou Sarr on percussion.
And what inspired you to write this particular song?
The inspiration was a traditional song which is called Jarabi. It's in fact the same song, but it's a reinterpretation of that song that I wrote some time ago.
What new music projects do you have going on?
I have a new album coming out very soon. It's been a very long time coming due to so many different reasons, but it's supposed to be out within the next 3 to 4 months. So it's quite an important milestone for me since the release of the first album in 2011.
How long has it been since you toured the U.S.?
Last time we toured the U.S. was in 2018, I believe, just before COVID came. So we were supposed to be back on the road in 19, but it didn't happen. I get it wrong. Is it 20? I think it was 20. Yeah, 19. Supposed to be back on the road on 20. It got postponed. So yeah, we're here now, 2 years later.
Unfortunately, that happened a lot. How did you come to play the kora, which is such a beautiful instrument, but many of us know it's not something that a lot of women play. So how did you decide to start doing it?
So the kora was an instrument that I picked up because of the fact my family is a griot family, and this tradition is inherited. So my father was a kora player, my brother was also a kora player, my grandfather was a kora player. So this was quite, I would say, natural for me to actually play this instrument since my family all does so. Being female, of course, is a little bit different to what has been. But this was mainly because my brother decided to teach me when I was very young. And then I later decided that I really wanted to take it professionally. And I went and studied with my dad for some years to start really finding my voice on the kora.
How is the Gambia Academy going?
Gambia Academy is going well at the moment. We are now on our expansion mode, which is great because we have spent the last 5 years just consolidating the curriculum and making sure that we get the systems up, making sure that they're tight. But now we're starting to look at our expansion. We are starting construction soon as well on our main campus building.
All right, so thank you so much, Sona. I know it's time for your sound check. You've got a lot of strings to tune on that kora.
Yeah, I am.
So good luck, and it's great to have you. Thanks for